With this, we are beginning with the second session of the day. Uh, it is digital transformation, the need of the hour. Take your first step towards digital transformation with Jile. We have Paulumi Nath, Agile coach with TCS, and Anup Datta, who is a business development head at APEC Jile from TCS as an speakers. So before the session, I would like to thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. Innovation Roots is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for the content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more details, we request you to visit www.innovationroots.com. So do's and don'ts as told earlier, join 5 minutes before the session, use high quality speakers and headphones for better sound quality, and keep your microphones muted and videos disabled as this may cause disturbance to the and bandwidth issue. And for the questions, I request everyone to put on the chat box, and I could see that people are able to we can ask their questions. So if you want to ask your questions, raise your hands. We'll try to unmute you, and we can see that we can take some questions directly online, but it may cause chaos, so please cooperate with us. Please fill your feedback form after the event. That will help us to understand more and the event management better. We appreciate your cooperation. Over to you, Paulmi.
Thank you, Prashant. And thank
I'm
you,
making you
team.
Paulmi. Yes, I'm making you a presenter.
Sure.
Yeah, over to you.
Mm, okay. Yeah. So thank you, team, for having myself and Anup with you together to present our case with you. And what we are going to do is a bit of experience sharing, as well as a little bit of theory around it. So I'm an agile coach from TCS. I've been in this industry for over 18 and a half years. That's what professionally who I am. And I've been through various roles. Being an agile coach and a transformation strategist is something. In the community, I work as an initiative director for women in agile and tech. So that's where I'm more into. And I thank Agile Network India for giving me this opportunity to meet this wonderful set of people. And without much further ado, I would like to get on to the presentation. So today, what we would talk about, and this is one of the probably the most talked about topic that we have uh, in most of the conferences, most of the talk, but still it doesn't get old, because for digital transformation, each of our journeys in our organizations are different, because the organizations themselves are different, the clients that the organizations cater to are different. So it's every different person that we are catering to in terms of transformation, and how we do it, that's the journey that we talk about. So today I will start with a small story on why do clients come with us for a need of transformation. Now recently, I won't say very recently, but that's my comfort book to go back to when I am facing a lot of troubles in while dealing with clients or internal organizations in terms of getting into transformation. Is the book is called Our Iceberg is Melting, and it's a wonderful book on organizational change management. I've just taken a bit of it to make you understand or ponder upon the fact that why clients come to us with a need for transformation. Now, this is about a clan of penguins. Now, they were living in their own iceberg, a big iceberg, a lot of fishes around, a lot of seals around, a lot of food, a lot of everything. So, they were a happy bunch of penguins who had no issues in life apart from small family squabbles. Maybe we all have that. But after some time, they started noticing certain changes. But we all notice changes in the climate. It's raining so much. We say, oh, it's raining so much, and we forget it. But we never dive. So one of the penguins was a little adventurous. He was from the younger group of people, and while searching for preys, which were actually becoming a little lesser by the day, he dived deeper within the sea, and he noticed something very, very uh, unique to him, because he had never seen that before. That water was coming out from the holes uh, in the iceberg underneath the sea. And he was very surprised. Is this normal? Is this natural? He did not, he took a note, but he did not act on it yet. And he came up and he spoke to his friends about it. And everyone said, no, no, it's fine. It's just something like that. But it sowed a seed of doubt in his mind. And he kept on checking on it. And he saw that the holes were very slowly increasing. He felt something off. Something was not right. And he also saw that the fish and everything around those holes were actually moving away from the holes. So he noticed all those things, and he came back and spoke to one of the clan leaders, counselors, about what was happening. Even the clan leaders had never uh, heard or seen something like that, and he decided to go and check it himself. So they both dived and saw and stuff, and they realized that something was amiss, something was not working. And they brought the problem to the council members, described the problem, and the scientist of the clan actually came up and said that yes, the iceberg that we are there is probably melting. It will not going to stay for long. We are going to lose our habitat. So losing a habitat was an disaster. No one believed that. No one would be willing to believe that. But there was a sense of urgency. And that's when they decided to take the next steps. I wouldn't go to the next steps, but the fact that there was a sense of urgency, there was a need, and there was a possible disruption to the way they lived, the way they operated, is something that propelled this council leaders to take a decision on going to the next level. And this is exactly what happens with our clients. When, as our market grows, as our way of businesses start differing, the need to be relevant to the market, the need to be there in the market and compete and gain an advantage, is an urgency that the clients feel. And that's when they think of doing something new, a new way of working. So transformation didn't be always an agile transformation. A transformation is basically a transformation from the old way of doing things and coming to a new way of doing things, which will in turn gain them that advantage that their market is demanding for, to be relevant in the market. So whenever there is a sense of urgency, clients do come to us for transformation. Maybe that point when they're new clients, they are not very explicit on what they want. They will come to you and say various things, that this is happening, that is happening, but the need for the hour would have to be coached, and you have to have that answer, that why, what is their actual need, why are they thinking they are becoming not relevant. So moving on to the next one. So what are the common customer complaints that we see? Number one is the time to market. So whenever there is a delayed product launch, a delay in the innovation pace, there is a lot of market share that goes out. Classic example being Nokia. Nokia was one of the first adopters of Agile actually. but they did not sustain it. What happened as a result was that innovation pace went down. Android picked up the market, and by the time Nokia understood what went wrong and they started working on it and doing transformation, Android had a major share in the market. Apple had a major share in the market. So, if you look at the mobile industry, this is what happened as a Nokia story. So most of your customers, when what we have seen, be it telecom sector, be it retail, hospitality, BFS clients are a little slower in that case because their markets do not change drastically. But in BFS also, if you go to the financial advisory sector, that always tries to bring out new products for their customers to be relevant in the market. So there are various sectors which have their own needs, and all of these needs, when they come to you, the first thing any customer tells us is that your delivery is slow. So they have already come up with a preset mind that if all of their problems is because the delivery is slow, and we jump onto saying that okay, we'll do agile and will do there are companies who are doing agile in some form and still saying the same thing, that the delivery is not fast enough. So transformation is something that they're looking for, and what they're actually looking for, and when you dig deeper and when you have those conversations with the CXOs, CTOs, what you find is that it's not the delivery they are more bothered about. They want to keep pace with the market in terms of innovation, leading a market space, bringing out a new product. So those are their major categories of problem, and they want the delivery teams or the teams to support them to come to their vision. So as coaches, when we get into this big room plannings and stuff, our main aim is to come from that part where they're saying your delivery is slow to the part where they're talking about what they need, what are the things that they're looking for. That is one of the customer complaints, and that is how we actually address to bring out. So there is an explicit demand and there is an implicit demand. We'll have to make sure that the implicit demands are coming out and are becoming explicit and a vision is created. The other customer complaint that we have is on communication. Because we operate in a global scenario, we have distributed agile teams. Most of the cases we find that people are shy enough to pick up the phone and talk about their challenges, or even in scrum calls, in product backlog refinement calls, you will see that people are keeping quiet, they are not asking questions. And this lack of communication becomes evident to customers also, because there's a lot of things that we go lost in translation because we are not communicating properly. Other reason why we are not communicating properly is something that we have seen across, is that most of the organizations, when they are starting off in the initiation phase of transformation and all, they work in silos. So every other, there's a small organizations within organizations, their hierarchies are different. So the product works in a different way, the technology works in a different way, and each have their own power struggles as well. And in all this organizational problems that we have, what is lost is communication. And the CTOs mostly don't care how these things happen, because they want to see the communications in a way, happening in a way that helps them in getting things communicated faster, visions communicated faster, and actions coming out faster. So the other complaint that we mostly see is the communication channels. And all this too results in a very, very unhappy customer. And it's not only the customer who is unhappy, the product group is unhappy because people are not able to understand their work. The development team is unhappy because they think they are not getting a proper requirement. and they're getting less time, their midnight oils are burning, so there is unhappiness all around. And this is the part where transformation kicks in, or the urgency or the need for transformation kicks in. And what do we aim to achieve by digital transform? So when we talk to the clients about what you want and those implicit stuff come out, there are few things that come out very, very openly. That what are the environments that we need to create so that innovation is fast paced, market research is fast paced, delivery is in line with the vision, and we are able to cater to the customer base that the client has in a much more organized fashion. And that's what digital transformation gives us. It gives us empowered employees. When we move out from that siloed hierarchical structure slowly, but when we move out from there and we bring a little flatness to the structure by the way we organize the teams, the way we form and norm the teams, is where the motivation builds. Money is a get motivation, and that's taken care of by HR. But that is not the only motivation. People would love to work, otherwise, they get bored. And they can only work they can only work effectively, I would say, when they're empowered, when they're not just order takers. They have, because every human being is an intellectual person, they have intelligence. So if you empower those people and they can take their own decisions, and somehow make sure that they are also getting that right environment and tools to do so, we are not only empowering the employees to work, but we are also giving them the environment to become more productive, if that is the term that we want to use. And because agile, or the way digital transformation works, including agile, we always move in collaboration. So small sprints, small demos, reaching out to your customers, having those design thinking, UI workshops, or any workshops where you involve your client, involve your customers to ask, what do you want? So, very basic principle of coaching: ask, don't tell. So, we ask the customers on what they want. In the telecom industry, the you will see in the case study when we talk about it, when we went to the client, we did not tell them what to do. We asked them what they wanted. And from there, everything else started. Then we work on the already existing processes. So culture process doesn't change in a day. It takes time. To have that, when you have already empowered your employees and have engaged customers, transforming those old habits becomes easier. Taking small habits, making them a habit formation, and that comes to your transformation of processes. And to aid this transformation, we use operations in a way that is optimized. We give the operations the liberty to have tools, technologies with which a lot of manual work can be reduced and yet can be made more effective. So these are the things which ultimately digital transformation gives, and clients also look for it because this forms the base of what they actually want, is to be relevant in the market. Then we will come to the strategy of digital transformation. Here I'll start talking about the client that we are going to discuss in the case study. So we took the this 7-step approach towards digital transformation there. So when, as I said, we did not tell the client what to do. We ask the client what they want, how they want, where they want. So all the questions that the client had in their minds and were not able to speak up, we were we were there to help them to align to what they want, the define the business values that would come out of it. And then we went for various techniques of training people, training the mid management, working with the leadership, so that the human beings who are in the heart of any transformation, because they are the C1 assets, right? They are prepared for the cultural change. They know what's coming and they're aligned to it. They can see their friends working in those other ways and having a gain over the others. And we started small. We started with small pilots and then moved on to bigger ones. And throughout the entire journey, the customer organization was our client. Their client was our client. So we were part of them. So small steps, but in the right directions. Just like the way we define sprint goals and we move towards it, every transformation activity that we took was divided into sprints and we took it small. It need not be a big bang transformation. Transformation is never big bang. Then we mapped out the technology. Here comes the part wherein we introduced Jile as a tool to the customer in the way they can map their value streams, organize their teams, reduce the effort of what we call as the PMO, so that their effort can be more productively utilized anywhere else. Because there would be a lot of dependencies that they need to chart out. If their work here is a little bit lessened, then they can put in their effort there and still have a good work life balance. And we also reached out from our COEs in TCS. We reached out to the partners, our DevOps engineers, coaches like us, and expertise from the SMEs. And what we sat always together with the client to find out how their vision was shaping up. So vision starts initially, but it never remains the same. It shapes up as it sees results. So even the leadership is human being, you have to understand. And also the market is not a stagnant market, it's a ever growing market. So visions will not change maybe drastically, but there will be refinements to the visions as well. And how to achieve that faster, and what kind of other stuff that we can bring in to make that those transitions smoother for the people working in it, the tools that we can bring out. And those are the things that we did. And of course, inspection and adaptation is part and parcel of every transformation, every agile activity, anything personal, delivery, digital, in society, outside society, in organizations. And that's the same thing that we did there. Anything that we started small, we inspected, adapted with the guiding coalition, which is the leadership, aligned with the views, aligned with the views, that visions that the teams also were having, and we refined as we moved on. Scaling and transformation is something that we are still working on with this client. So, big client, lot of departments. So, yes, not all departments are through with digital transformation now. We started with the IT, which is the normal course of action anyone takes when you want to deliver faster. But we have been able to move to product and a couple of other departments. Uh, but this is where we are now. We are trying to map out the organizational roadmap for this client. And with that, I will uh, invite Anup to take this forward. Hi, Anup.
Hi, Purami. Thank you so much for summarizing everything very concisely. I would appreciate that. And then, on the onset, let me just thank everyone because, obviously it's a Saturday morning and all of you are tuned in. So it's, thank you. It's the first time, in fact, I've been attending this, event. I'm based out of Sydney, Australia. So just a quick, 30-second, I would say, introduction for me. I have been in Australia for almost 16 years now. Joined TCS roughly 2, 3 years back. Prior to that, I was with Oracle. Primarily, my role with TCS is currently to sort of look
Anup,
after this tool, which is Jile. I would say also like it's almost the end of January, but let me also wish Happy New Year to all of you, and a big thank you to all the organizing team members who at least prepared and organized the event. So I've got only a few slides to cover. I thought it'll be sort of good for me to quickly jump onto those, 4 or 5 slides. I'll welcome any questions after that. And if in case anyone would want to obviously get to explore a bit more on the tool, so I'll be more than available if in case you would want to connect me offline or on LinkedIn. So I'll be more than happy to sort of answer any questions which I'm not able to address that at this stage. So I think in terms of quickly the context of this client, so they are one of the biggest or one I would say that one of the premium names in the telco space in the Philippines market. So they operate, fiber optics, broadband network, IP, television. They also do cable television and also have a very extensive reach of cable internet in the country. I would say in terms of their own personal reach, they have got close to 1.58, if I remember the figures correctly, 1.58 million FiberX subscribers. This was the figure which came out of September 2021, and they captured close to 54% of the market share for fiber to home, services within the Philippines country, and one of the pioneers I would say in the space where they originated this pure end-to-end fiber network, providing the entire population of Philippines with the simple, fast, and reliable internet connection. So they've been very extensive in the market. In fact, right at the start, I would say of pandemic, when this lockdown started to happen, the discussion kind of started with them. So one of the core challenges they kind of understood as a team or as a leadership was that because the clients, especially I would say in the telco space, are demanding on an ongoing basis. The expectations are increasing on an ongoing basis. So the ability for the organization to be able to respond back to the changes. So there's a lag, as Polomi just mentioned on the challenges part. Polomi, if you can just maybe also go on the next screen if I would say probably because the challenges because the leadership themselves they did realize that they have to obviously make a changes within the organization in terms of their own people, their training, their understanding of the ability to be able to respond back to the expectation of the customer and how fast they can deliver the value rather than just focusing on how fast they can deliver the outcome when it comes to obviously any software development or delivery. So that is how I believe the discussion kind of started at a very basic simple note of what they wanted to do. They wanted to embark on a complete agile or digital transformation journey in terms of understanding what are the things they have to improve in terms of process, how they can be a bit more innovative on the product and how they can create much faster value to the customers. So but the challenges were because, and I'm sure you all of you at some stage at every level of whatever discussion or things that you're doing with the client, because there is an expectation from a business. They define a strategy at a business level, but when it comes to actually executing that at a operational level, there's a lot of gap in between. So the value somehow is lost in the entire process in between. Either the people are not aligned, they're not completely aware of what the vision of the company or the objective of the business is, or there is no clarity in terms of who is doing what, and sometimes even the basic reports or the complete I would say visibility across what's going on across the portfolio or a program or an organization is kind of missing. And these were again the similar challenges this client was also facing as well. So they mentioned most of these things in a anecdotal way that we have some clarity but we don't have a clarity, we have some reports but we don't have some reports. So we kind of understood there is a complete lack from again the strategy and how they are able to measure that strategy. So that was one core gap or challenge they were facing. I think like the other themed I would say challenge was that how they're capturing their demand in terms of the requirement gathering and how they're being delivered. So the entire process in between was managed by multiple different tools, multiple different Excel files, emails. So the theme or the entire process was kind of lost in the entire mix of things. And then also during the discussion, fortunately, because I was kind of personally also exposed to the CIO in the organization as well, where he personally was managing two or three portfolios. So entire visibility from his perspective of portfolio, how they trickle down into the program and then to the team, that entire roll up view or the reporting was kind of missing as well in terms of them figuring out what are the budgets they need to allocate in terms of the progress which have happened. So I think these were few of the challenges, and I can say at least reasonably confidently because of the exposure with other clients as well. These are very similar challenges which are faced not just with the client within this telco space, but most of the clients where there's a lack of clarity, the demand, strategy to execution gaps, and the demand capturing and the delivery, and then obviously the reporting is also missing as well most of the time. See, what we primarily did, again, before I actually jump on to what we did, I'll just quickly sort of give a quick glimpse on what this tool or this philosophy of tool is. Because fortunately, again, TCS had been involved with, providing or being a partner with multiple sort of different organization in almost, I would say, every sector or every geography with the entire digital or transformation journeys. So last 20 years of, I would say, experience have kind of gone into the thought process of what are the core challenges and how something like a product or platform can kind of address, certain things in terms of execution. When I say execution, like, if you see just on the diagram, the idea is to bring all the different stakeholders together on one single unified platform, which is, let's say, whether you are at a team level, developer or tester who obviously just want to sort of manage their own work, or whether you're sitting at a program or a portfolio where you need to sort of obviously define your own features or roadmap or release plans, or you're sitting at a portfolio level where you need to sort of define a certain strategic vision to the portfolio. You need to obviously also manage certain sometimes the budget as well, and the ability again to be able to scale this entire process. And as Polumi was just mentioning, that the idea is never to go with a big bang, because you don't know, there are a lot of uncertainties. The idea is to show the value much faster with, let's say, taking one program to begin with, give a complete hand holding and support to the to the team, let them understand, feel the relevance of tool. Once they do see the benefits, slowly and steadily, the transition happens to the rest of the other division. So right now as we speak, we are actually in that journey where one or two portfolios where we started initially about this journey about a year and a half back have been quite successful. They are seeing the results now, and now we are in discussions with them to understand how we can extend this entire agile transformation to the rest of the portfolio, the rest of the organization as well. So I'll just maybe go to the next slide just to quickly sort of give again at least our understanding on the solution part as well, because what Jile essentially, again, as I was saying, kind of provides is it kind of again gives a complete unified platform for the organization to define their strategy and how they can completely measure of how that execution happens. So they are every single time are able to figure out that this is the strategy, this is how the multiple features which will help us to achieve certain objective, how they are progressing and how they are being delivered. So you're able to sort of kind of make your decision based on that unified view which is available. So that is what actually what we did initially, to by setting up their teams and also the ability within Gile to give them option of their way of working as well, because there are certain teams which are a bit more, I would say, in tune for a Kanban way of working or a Scrum, or when they kind of become a bit more mature, then there are certain enterprise frameworks which will help them kind of scale this entire agile journey. So all of those, I would say, frameworks are pre-built within Gile as a platform. So this is, I mean, I might sound a bit salesy, but this is one of the unique features within Gile as well, where you can easily pick and choose as a user, and then figure out which is the better way of working for yourself, and you can also have the complete customization for your own complete workspace when you do sort of work at any level of the organization. So the ability to provide them the real time reporting, the ability to be able to sort of give a bring all these things, all the stakeholders together, and also give them a complete collaborative platform where they can have multiple different level of discussion at different level of hierarchical structure. So those were, I think, few of the focus areas that we focused when the solution was proposed to the client. So for me, I'll just request if you can go on the last line. And just very, very briefly, see, in fact, I've not categorically mentioned certain key numbers there because we are still going through, our internal discussion in terms of the exact sort of results. But broadly, with the implementation, I would say, of Jile, the customer, was able to resolve the complexity in their entire operation. Now, and again, based on the discussions multiple times with the, portfolio directors and the CIO, they have a complete clarity in terms of who are the different teams which are performing, what are the sort of tasks which are given to each team member, how the testing, team is performing. So they are able to get a complete holistic view of this entire transformation and how that is being progressed. And then, this is helping them to drive, much better, I would say, in terms of the product innovation and how fast they're able to deliver, based on the commitment they had given to the customers. Now, I can maybe I'll not mention those numbers in the slides, but I can just give you a few of the things that we have come up during the informal discussions with these team. So where they have moved their monthly releases, roughly 3x improvement have happened in terms of speed to market. Where they've also mentioned in few of the discussions, I would say that post release that effect reduced by roughly around 30 or 40% from the previous ways of working. And also the test coverage and automation increased from say 10% to roughly 40% as we speak right now. So we are yet to kind of formalize these concrete numbers as and when we are actually going and discussing with them. So that, I would say, in nutshell, is primarily what we have been able to deliver, with again working with the client on an ongoing and very consistent basis with them, and also complete hand holding and support, which is obviously the case when it comes to the adoption to agile. So there is a complete team that we have in terms of which is dedicated to helping them and training them to understand the tool, and also broadly in terms of how this entire transformation would look like. So I'll kind of stop right there. In case any questions you might have, I'll be more than happy to answer that.
Thank you, Anup. Thank you, Paul, for an
Uh,
insightful session.
Hey,
So,
Anup and Pallavi,
y-
Paulavi, good morning, Yogesh
Hi,
here.
Yogesh.
So very nice session,
Yogesh,
and yeah, Yogesh here. So basically, I have one question here regarding this new tool. So what are the KPIs that we should that this tool supports, or and how those are getting captured? What are the best practices?
Can you sort of define
Anup,
what is a KPI? Sorry, I didn't get the context. Sorry.
The different matrices are the key process areas that we should look for while having this agile transformation journey. So if we have this tool in place, so what are the different things we should capture in order to measure the transformations?
Anup, let me take that question. Post that you might add on to the tooling part.
Sure, sure.
So, Yogesh, it depends on how you are approaching to the transformation. The way we do it is we first, so first of all, whenever we go into such nascent accounts, I mean to say, who have not been through transformation or in agility for long, we see an propensity to be output based, like they start measuring velocity as a productivity metrics. However, the journey from them understanding velocity as a productivity metrics to a velocity as a forecasting metrics is the exact journey that takes place from you where you move from an output based system to a outcome based system. Now, how do we define that? Is that when we are defining the product roadmap, and we also take into account feature refinement percentages, like how frequently your features, or rather the aging of the features, like how long your feature has been in the product roadmap backlog and has not been refined, and how what is the percentage increase in that feature refinement, and how is it impacting in terms of the AUM that you get, uh, that get mapped, like what is the increase in user base, and why, and any increase in user base, we also track it to the release that has gone before that, like what were the outcomes that were delivered or value that was delivered in terms of the past 2 to 3 releases. That's the KPI in terms of market. Now, these are like CXO, CTO level outputs that we are talking about. Now, at team level for retrospective, we do use the cumulative flow diagram. We also use the sprint report, like how much your sprint was stable between the work adoption, work removal. So those kind of stuff. Initially, those percentages are very high, considering the teams have a tendency to take on and remove stories within the sprint. But those percentages actually improve when as we go in the journey. Does that answer your question? But as I said, the KPIs and matrices, first of all, at team level, it should be a consensus on what they want to show to the outside world and what they want to keep inside. And CXO level is always on the market. Like in this case, it was user base.
Yeah, certainly it has
Yeah.
answered to the certain extent. The my question was more of like, I mean, the tool now, what I get from the presentation is supporting both at team level as well as the portfolio and program level. So we
Right.
can have a kind of holistic view at an
Yeah, you can.
organization level. So just on the same line, what do you suggest? Like the transformation journey should be a top-down approach or the bottom-up approach, or how do you like
It's a
what should
mix.
be
It's a
mix of?
mix, you get. Yeah, I
Okay,
always, whatever I have led through and lived through, I have always seen it as a mix. It starts as a top down,
okay,
then it comes a little bit of bottom up, but somewhere in between there is a confluence. So yes, initially it has to be a top down approach, because if the vision is not clear at your leadership level and the push doesn't come from there, it is very difficult to get the funding for that is required for transformation as well. So there is a fund factor as well, which is a very big reality.
yep.
So yes, it starts top down. You then it goes to the teams when you go into piloting, and then it's a confluence of both.
One
I
last
think
question. Does
You,
right.
yes, Anup, yeah, please go ahead.
No, no, sorry. I'll hear your question first. Sorry.
So just one last question, like since this is more of like, I mean, the multiple teams working together, so it is kind of supporting a scale agile kind of scenarios, right? So does the tool support the customization as well? Because if we
Yes, it does.
talk about, yeah, okay, if we talk about scale, we have different frameworks available, less a scale agile or something. So okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if I
those are the
fortunately just to
concepts.
mention,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yogesh,
No,
I'll
go
just
ahead.
quickly sort of mention that. So there are few, frameworks that are pre-built when I was just discussing. So there are few frameworks which are, product team have, done the, I would say, heavy lifting in terms of, predefining the certain frameworks. So you, for example, as a user can obviously pick and choose right from the day when you have those frameworks available. But again, certainly because not, we don't assume that every client would obviously pick up those frameworks because they'll have their own hierarchy or their own customization or configuration. So the tool is completely configurable to your own requirements, so you can easily drag and drop certain things in the menu, and you can define your own configuration within the platform. So it is very much doable.
great.
Hey,
But
Paulo,
that,
Paulo, me,
proprietary tool of TCS, right? I mean, we do not have. It is TCS
Anup,
own tool or something like, I mean, we do not have it available
yeah,
It's a marketable
outside.
product, Hari.
Okay,
It's a marketable product.
yeah.
okay, okay,
The
Anup,
fine.
TCS markets is as well.
uh,
Yeah, Anup is the
Anup,
right person to answer that.
In fact, you can, sorry if I correctly got the question, sorry, the line was slightly lagging, but are you asking this is available? Yes, it is. You can go to Jile.io and you will be able to, have the entire website on Jile where you can easily log in and create your own username and password, and right away you have the access to Jile. So
Great, fantastic.
Jile.io.
Yeah,
yeah. Anup and Paulo, me, this
guys,
is Hari here. Hello,
yeah.
thank you so much.
I have a
One
question
by
here.
one. Yes, Hari, just a second. I will just raise your hands or just put the question in the chat box. I will ask you to, I facilitate that question. Okay, Hari, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah,
You
sorry,
can
Paulo, me,
limit to
and
one question.
Anup. See, as an agile coach, many times you would land up evaluating the right framework for the client. So my question is, what parameters from the client end will you take as inputs to suggest whether to go for less or for Nexus or Scale Agile framework? How do you really evaluate the client's, proposition? I mean, where the client stands and what the client really has to go for the ideal framework, ideal scale framework. How do you really suggest it as an agile coach to the customer?
Okay. So, Hari, very, very tough question because I struggle with it every day. Okay. First of all, when we go to a customer, we do assessments before even entering to see what is their culture, what is their appetite, and we find a lot of challenges there as well. But the first thing that the client comes up to us, and that is my experience, I'm just sharing my experience, is that they come and tell us, can you implement safe? The first thing that I hear most of the times when I'm dealing with US clients, even now in APAC region also, they come and call us that, can you implement safe? uh, and then that from there the conversation starts, that why do you want safe and stuff. So uh, as of now, honestly, Hari, I have only done one less implementation, because the client actually understood that their culture was more in align with less. And I have done a few safe implementations because I was mostly working with US clients. But while suggesting a framework, often we get hindered by the fact that the CXO and CTO has been already sold a framework by someone else. uh, and the conversations start from there. We start from the part where we assess the culture and we say, okay, you cannot go fully safe, or maybe you can take this part this way and that part that way. So those are the conversations that we have. But I am yet to get an independence to suggest a complete framework to any client. Mostly they come to
Okay.
us with a proposal, and then we work around and actually find out what we need to do for that client.
Because follow
Hari,
me,
does
the reason why I'm asking this question is when you really suggest the scaled agile framework, the client should also have enough funding, because scaled agile
exactly.
framework involves multiple sets of people. You have the product management, you have the RTE, you have business sponsors. So it's a whole lot of things actually, like, and you cannot do a big bang. You have to go from, you have to go step by step.
Yes,
You cannot just climb up to the program management level quickly. You have to start with the essential
it's a
level and
long
all that.
process.
Long
It's a
process,
long journey.
long journey, and also it involves a lot of investment. So the
It
client should
does.
have that capability to invest, right, before stepping into that process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I said, that when we are getting into the scaled part, uh, uh, we also look into the funding part of it, how much fund is
Correct.
available for the transformation.
So,
So
follow me.
Okay.
we come, yeah.
Hari, with the interest of time, we will take one more question from another person, but we'll be really uh,
Harry, you can reach
directly with.
out to me. I
Oh,
am available on
uh,
LinkedIn. You
yeah,
can reach out to
yeah.
Sure,
me
sure,
separately as well.
sure,
Thanks,
follow me.
Hari. Uh, Sorry
I
to
to work
stop
as
you.
agile coach. Follow me. I'm with Standard Chartered.
Great, great,
I,
Hari.
I'm sure I understand your question and the pain that you are coming up with. We can have that discussion.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, follow me.
So, okay. Now, with the time, looking at the time, we'll take one more question. Amar Prusti has a question. Amar, you would like to ask a question yourself? Amar, are you there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
hi.
Can you please ask?
Hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hi, Amar.
Hi,
Yeah,
Aman.
so my question is around this TCO ROI for because whole world is running on Jira, as we know. So whenever we say some other tool, means the first thing that senior management will jump on us is what is the TCO ROI, which client has implemented, how much benefit. So that is one part of the question. And then other thing is, as you told, safe and less. So I want to understand that from your experience with clients. like how, where do you feel what goes in well? And because less is not popular everywhere, like blindly it is safe. Skilled
Yes.
agile is like outsold, it's oversold and overhyped. So now where does less come in? Does it really add value, or is it just eyewash, or means,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
because you
Amar,
guys are the,
okay.
so I want to
Purami,
hear
let me
from you.
just answer the first part on the tool side, and then you can sort of obviously give your spill on the framework, which is the right one for you. So, Amar, very, very right question. In fact, I would say, 90% of the discussion I have personally been involved includes this question, why this, other tool. In fact, the exact philosophy, and let me first give a complete due respect to, the other competitor in this space, because they are, I would say, one of the pioneers. They're also Australian companies, so I do know a slight bit more context to them based in this geography. So they, again, with all due respect, again, I don't know the details, but based on the inputs I can share from the clients, where assuming, let's say, you are sitting on a portfolio, you got five different programs running under that, five different teams running under those things. The way that tool have been designed, and when it started, which was like a decade ago, the requirement was the speed to outcome. So the one team which is doing their work can do their work very well because there are a lot of functionalities in there. But when it comes to, for example, let's say having a view at your portfolio, why it is required? Because the speed to, as mentioned, the outcome is slowly changing to speed to value. You can't generate the speed to value unless and until there is a strategy which is defined and the execution team which is properly sort of working based on that strategy. So for that, a tool which can only kind of give a defined or a hierarchy or a complete sort of 360-degree view on how this entire execution, including multiple different program teams, are kind of involved on one platform, and there is a complete reporting and visibility available. So one team can do, the second team can do very well on whatever tool that you mentioned. They can configure their reports at their team level. But when it comes to a roll up view to a program or a strategy or a portfolio level, that's where the challenge will start to happen. And this is a recurring issue which we have received from multiple different corners from every geography, I would say. So one thing that we are able to address from a Agile perspective is that first, that strategy layer, bring all the different teams together on one single common platform. So whatever you do deliver at the execution level, the executives are able to see that entire value which is being delivered, which is not the case with a tool which is very specific to a very team specific tool level. That is one part. Second is, from a TCO perspective, you ask, there are multiple different modules. For example, I might not name them, but you would know. Let's say Trello is one of them, Confluence is one of them. But when you club all these costs together, and this is the quotation I've got from multiple clients, so I can just quote the numbers, roughly around 40 or $60, I don't know, per user per month. If you go on Jile.io website right now, you will be able to see most of these functionalities we have clubbed into one single Jile, and there is a one single common standard cost, which is $12, which gives a complete access to all these, right from how you capture the demand, of how they are being defined, how you collaborate, and how that is being delivered. So the entire execution happens on one single Jile without having the need to have multiple different modules. But having said that, I completely appreciate that question. There is a way of how we have also partnered with our one of our companies, where we can also integrate with whatever tools that you are for example saying. So if in case a client is completely hell-bent and they don't want to change anything, so we kind of sit on top of, or we can just obviously understand the use case in bit more detail, but that can work in collaboration in some of the cases with the existing tool that they have in place as well. So they don't need to replace. But why they would be spending extra? Because the business still want a visibility across the portfolio. They still want to understand the budget and how that is being spent across the entire portfolio. So that part can be done, and that is doable with the integration platform that we have available in Jile.
Thanks, Anup. Thanks
I'm
for
not sure if I'm
answering.
able to answer that, but I'll be more than happy if in case there is any other thing from a TCO or comparison perspective. I'll be more than happy to address that offline as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank, thank you very much, Anup and Paulimi, and thank you everybody, all the participants. I know there are a lot of questions. You can directly connect with Paulmi and Anup for any of the further questions. And looking at the time, we have exceeded 5 minutes, but still we have another 5 minutes for the next session. So on behalf of Agile Network India and the community, I would like to thank Paulami and Anup for a very insightful session on this particular topic and their product Jile. I think that people today had more clarity and uh, in-depth of the insights about the tool as well as how, because I could see on the chat, they can see that they are able to see it as an alternative to Jira, and that's a very good positive sign. Uh, so please, I think we have there the Jile IO this thing, link has been shared, and the case study link also has been shared for the people to go ahead and have a look at into the details of those of Jile IO. Okay, over to
Thank you,
you.
Prashant and
Thank you
Agile
very much.
Network India for having us here.